I'm going to introduce it so we have it on tape.
Uh-huh.
What we're doing, and then I'm just going to ask you a series of questions.
Okay.
And very informal.
Uh-huh.
Tell me what you remember. Feel free to add as much detail as you like.
Okay.
You want to take a break? Fine. You want a glass of water? Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Just very informal.
I'll get it over as soon as possible.
Huh? You want it to be over with as soon as possible?
Sure.
Why? You're going to forget that camera in 5 minutes.
Just look at Nancy.
You're just going to talk to me.
Okay.
Just very informal.
Okay.
And I'm not going to ask you anything you don't know because it's all about you.
Oh, okay.
So, and your pooch is going to change his mind and like me in a few minutes. Come on.
Come on, get away. Go lay down.
Go lay down.
Go lay down.
Go lay down.
Yeah, he'll behave now.
Okay?
Yes.
Can I go ahead?
Uh-huh.
Okay. My name is Nancy DeLette, and I'm an academic associate at Arizona State University, and I'm also an oral historian. And today is Thursday, June the 2nd, 2005. And I'm interviewing Mr. Joseph Acevedo. He worked for the city of Tolleson as a city manager.
No, Avondale.
I'm sorry, Avondale.
City of Avondale.
Avondale. Worked as a city manager and finance director of Avondale from approximately 1961 through 1980. And we're going to document his story as part of the Arizona City County Management Association Oral History Project.
I was a city manager from 61 to 73. Then I went to the county as assistant budget director. Then I came back to Avondale as finance director till 1980 when I retired.
Okay, so a series of different positions.
Right.
Until 1980. And we're in Mr. Acevedo's home, and this is interview number 10 of the ACMA Oral History Project. So let's start with your early background and tell me where and when you were born.
I was born in Tucson, Arizona, August 13, 1918.
And tell me about your family and your early life in Tucson around that time.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember much of Tucson because I was brought to Phoenix when I was a baby, so I was raised in Phoenix.
Okay. Tell me a bit about your family, your mother and father.
My father was born in San Bernardino, California. My mother was born in Nogales, Arizona, and my father's father was a carrier with a horse and a team of horses, and they came to Arizona because they had a piece of land there, and they started farming there in Nogales, close to Nogales. And my dad had a big farm, and sometime later some fellow came around and said that he had a grant for that land from Spain. So they kicked him out, which was a fraud, of course. So my dad came to Tucson and started working in Tucson. That's when I was born there.
So he was farming with his dad in Nogales.
Who?
Your father was farming with your father in Nogales when somebody came and said that they had a claim?
Yeah, that was it was a place called Calabazas, close to Nogales.
So the land was taken away from them.
Yeah, all those people there, they had settled there, and so they all lost their land.
Oh, so it was not just your family; it was a group of people.
Oh, yeah, quite a few people there.
And did they come as a group to?
I really don't know how they came there.
Okay, tell us a bit about growing up in Phoenix.
Oh, growing up in Phoenix, I started going to grammar school, of course, and I started shining shoes when I was little, and I got a nickel, and then I went to the movies for a nickel. I shined shoes, and then I sold the Gazette there for a while, and then I started working I went to school, and I graduated from Lowell High School. Then I went to Phoenix Union for 1 year because we had no money. It was during the Depression. So I had no money, not even for food or clothing, so I had to quit school, which I cried. I was little. I graduated when I was 12 years old. So then I started doing odd jobs, working at the produce market and different jobs. Worked in a Chinese grocery store when I was going to school also.
And how did your parents get through the Depression years?
Hard, very hard. We had to go pick cotton. You know, my dad and my another brother picked cotton all the time, and we had an old roller player, remember? And we couldn't even sell that to buy food. It was hard. Nobody had any money, so.
And where was it that you picked cotton? In the Phoenix area?
In the Phoenix area.
Remember specifically where?
Oh, all over, wherever. So also picked cantaloupes and watermelons and whatever was available to pick, lettuce.
Did you have to move around during that period, or did
No,
you stay in
we
Phoenix?
had the same house. We had the same house in Phoenix.
But you had seasonal work based on whether it was sorry, melons or cotton. Okay. Then what happened after that? Sorry.
After that, then I started playing music. I formed a band and started playing, and I was working for Western Union. I was a messenger, Western Union, and got married then while I was a messenger. And then I got drafted, April the 1st, 1942.
You remember that?
Yes, it's April Fool's Day. They were not fooling.
Tell us a little bit about your wartime experience then.
Well, we trained in, went to Fort Bliss in El Paso and Camp Barkley, Texas. Then we came to the desert for desert training. We thought we were going to Africa. And then they sent us to France. So we left, from the desert we went to Fort Dix, New Jersey. And from there we went to England. And then on D+2, we landed on Utah Beach. And we went into combat June the 10th. We relieved the 82nd Airborne, which had jumped, on D-Day. So we had to relieve them. And from there it was on and on and on, all the way to Czechoslovakia. We were with the 3rd Army under Patton, So,
Well, I would love at some point to hear more about the war story, but that would require a whole other oral.
But I have the history here. You're interested?
Okay. This is of the war.
Of our division,
Of your division. Okay. Let's bring you back from the wartime.
Okay.
And tell me a little bit about what it was like to re-enter Phoenix after you had that wartime experience.
Well, it's not like it is now. You come home and you get all kinds of welcoming. There was none at that time. We came home, just everything was so quiet. And the first thing my mother did was the first day she took me to church to thank God, for me returning. Then I started looking for work. I worked for the first job was with the city of Phoenix, garbage collection, as you probably saw there. And it was embarrassing, downtown picking up the garbage, people I knew used to say. And then they transferred me to the street department, painting the curbs and stop signs. And then I went, let's see, what happened? Oh, then I managed a men's clothing store. Yeah, that's right, I managed a men's clothing store. And then from there,
The name of that?
American Pants Store.
And where was that?
That's downtown Phoenix. And then I knew we had a chance to go to college with a GI Bill of Rights. So I took an aptitude test, And they told me I was for a mechanic, I wasn't worth a darn, but I would be a good accountant. And I said, "My God, accountant, I never even dreamed of it." But I went to Lamson's Business College, and sure enough, I went right through it and got a degree. I was not a diploma. And then when I got my diploma, I went to work for the county in the elections department, setting up booths for elections, And the fellow in charge of the election was Bill Feldmeyer, which he's got prostate cancer. And anyway, then he found out that I had a diploma in accounting, and he asked me, "Would you like to try to do the county's treasury report?" And I said, "Sure." And I went to the finance department and did a good job, so they hired me. So I was with them till 1960. And then Avondale needed an accountant because they didn't have an accountant. So
let me just, before we go forward to Avondale, you're working a variety of jobs, and you just get this odd request to do the budget. Did you say?
No, do the treasurer's report, county treasurer's
for
report.
Maricopa County.
It's a big job, You can imagine. But I did a good job, and they hired me right away.
So you got hired by the county after that?
Yes,
so you're no longer working for the city?
No, that's right.
And did you have a family by this, your own family by this?
Well, let's see, at that time, my wife divorced me while I was in the Army, my first wife. And then I remarried, yeah. Yeah, I was married then, yeah. And I had two girls from my first wife, then I had a son with my second wife. So then, like I said, they needed an accountant for the city, so they hired me. And it was a mess, God almighty.
So
and
what year was this?
1960.
1960, okay. Anything else you want to say about working for the county?
Oh yes, I enjoyed it very much because, it was all accounting work, and I love accounting. And I did a little stretch in the county also as an elevator operator in the old county courthouse. Yeah, that was before I went to the finance department. So I came to Avondale in 1960, and in 61, the city manager left, and they appointed me as city manager. I didn't want the job. I don't want. So I said, "Well, if you don't want the job, you get fired." So I took it, but it was really good. I'm glad I took it.
So why did the city manager leave in 1961?
I'll tell you.
Don't want to tell that story. Okay. What was his name?
Albert Pierce.
Pierce? Albert Pierce? Okay. So you were not the first city manager for Avondale?
No, he was the first one.
He was the first?
Yeah, he was the first one. I was the second one.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about the circumstance that Avondale decided to go with the city manager form of government?
No, I don't know, because like I said, I wasn't the first one.
Okay, but it was before you, and Albert Pierce
He was
that
the first.
position, and do you know for how long?
1 year.
Oh, just 1 year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they offer you the position. So tell me.
Well, I was, like I say, I didn't want it, but they kind of talked me into it. And now I'm glad I did take it, because it was quite an experience. Gosh, I was city manager, city clerk, finance director, personnel director, you name it.
All in one job.
All in one job, yeah.
Tell me, let's try to get back to Avondale in 1960, 61, and give me an idea of the size of the city at that time.
It was very small. I forgot the population, but it was very small. As a matter of fact, it was mostly farms. At the corner of Van Buren and Desert Road, there was a farm. There's KC now, but there was a farm right there, right downtown, you know. But it's all. Have you seen Avondale lately? Been through? Oh man, it's terrific. I'm glad I'm not manager now. It would kill me. And anyway.
Tell me what was farmed here mostly in that point, 1960s?
I was farmed cotton, corn, and a lot of vegetables. A lot of cotton, though. A lot of cotton.
And the farm workers, did they live locally or did they come in seasonally?
There was a big installation there on Van Buren and Dysart, and they had a bunch of little houses. They had braceros, you know, Mexican workers living there, and they did the farm work. I had quite a few of them.
So it's through the Bracero Workers Program.
Right.
That the farmers would be able to hire
Uh-huh.
seasonal laborers.
Right.
Okay. Tell us about what kind of. You're not sure of the size of the city at that time.
No, I don't remember the population, but it was so small that when they were planning the freeway, they were not going to put an exit on Dysart Road. So the mayor and I, it was Mayor McCauley then, we really battled the state, and they finally agreed to put an exit on Dysart Road. We just saw it now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the busiest street in Avondale now.
So at the time, it was hard for them to project that a place like Avondale would need more than one.
That's right.
More than one entrance.
Yeah, they want to.
Exit from the freeway.
They were going to put one on Litchfield Road,
Litchfield only.
but not in Avondale.
Gotcha. Okay. How about in terms of the physical services of the city, the roads and the schools? And the
Oh my
libraries?
gosh!
Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
The roads, every street south of highway of Buckeye Road, they were unpaved, and it was a mess. God, when it rained, it was muddy all over, and when it was dry, we had dust all over the town. So the first thing we did when I got there, we issued improvement bonds and paved all the south side. That's the first thing we did.
Improvement bond. What was how did you learn? I mean, how would you even know about improvement bonds or how you would go about it? Did you learn from the other cities, or did you already know that from the county?
Well, I had an idea from working for the county, you know. Because the county issued bonds also, you know.
Uh-huh.
So
you
and then
were
we had good bond people working with Avondale and engineers. We had terrific people working, you know, on projects, and they did a wonderful job for us. But about this improvement bonds, I had to figure every one of them by hand. You know, there was no computers, and figure all that interest, you know, and the payments and how long the bonds were going to be for. That was quite a job.
Can you remember at all what the size of the budget might have been?
Oh boy.
First came?
Well, when I first took over, there was only $1,200 in the bank. So, and I couldn't, I had payroll coming, and it was scattered in different funds, you know, total of $1,200. So I had to call our auditor and told him, come, I need some help. We got to get some money for the payroll. So we shifted money around, you know, when they come up with the payroll. But then the following year, we had a good budget and wound up with a surplus the very first year. And from then on, we had a surplus every year.
How many employees did you have?
At that time, let's see. Darn it, I can find something here. Let me find you something here. Here's a picture of the officials at that time.
Okay. How are we going to handle some of these photographs? Afterwards? Sometime?
Yeah, either that or we'd have to scan them. Depends on what kind of quality you want.
Well,
See, that was the original city manager there.
If we scan them, you're going to have a nice digital archive.
yeah. Yeah, we will do that. Would you be willing to loan us these
Sure.
photographs?
Mm-hmm.
And we'd
Sure.
scan them and return them?
Sure.
Along with the
Uh-huh.
articles?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you don't think we need to put it on camera?
Oh, you mean as far as a reference? Sure, we can just shoot that,
Okay,
if that's what you want. you
sure,
know,
I think so.
Just take a quick,
Just a quick look there.
yeah. The top one's the one we're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Okay.
you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
They were the officials, not the other employees, the
Okay,
rank and file.
okay, I'm looking for where you are.
Oh, you won't find me 'cause
Oh, yeah, there you are.
you did find me, yeah?
Okay, so which one is the mayor at that time?
I don't think the mayor was here, no.
Not in there.
No, just the staff. Fire chief, police chief, housing director, and here shows a clerk, and a judge, deputy fire chief, and here's the manager at that time. And that's me.
Okay,
Uh,
this is Albert Pierce?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I was getting I got a an award from the county for services.
So tell us again a little bit about, give us a sense of Avondale. What year is Avondale incorporated?
I think it was 1942, I believe. I don't remember too well.
So
Uh-huh.
it had been going as a city for 20-some
Yeah.
years, but this is a brand new experience to have the city manager.
Yeah.
And they didn't have such a great experience, or at least not a long experience with the first one.
Right.
So, was it a tough adjustment, do you think, for the city, or by then were they really committed to the idea of a city manager?
Oh, they were committed. That's why they appointed me, because I knew the accounting. That's why they hired me, because of the accounting experience that I had.
So the very first thing you needed to do was to address the roads.
Yeah,
Is that
get
right?
those paved. Yeah,
Okay,
get
so
those
the
paved.
improvement bonds enabled you to, did it give you the opportunity to pave all of the streets? at that point?
All of the streets south of Buckeye Road.
Of all streets south of
Yeah.
Buckeye Road?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then when were you able to get to the streets above Buckeye Road?
Well, a lot of them were paved by then.
Okay.
By that time.
Okay. So within how many years were you able to get the streets paved?
I would say in a couple of years we got them all done.
So that must have made a tremendous difference.
Yeah, it did, and a lot of the work was done by city employees, so that we saved quite a bit of money by the city employees doing a lot of the work.
They did.
That saved us a lot of money. That's why we were coming up with a surplus every year, because everybody participated and helped out. It was wonderful.
So people were contributing their time.
Our city employees, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a bunch of good people working then.
Tell me some more about the economy in Avondale. Is it completely a farm community?
Yes, I would say it was at that time.
Okay.
It's mostly farm.
And the water is being supplied at that time by the Roosevelt Irrigation District, or?
No, we had a well. Then I suggested to the council that we install a big water storage tank. So we did that. We installed a big and set up another well. So then we had plenty of water, a big storage tank. Then later on
So you were pumping the groundwater?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that system was already in place.
Right.
The pumping. So now you had storage.
Uh-huh.
And how about for irrigation for the farms?
I think that, I think it was Roseville Irrigation District. I think that handled the, or SRP. I don't know. Either one.
Okay.
But we worked very well with the Roseville Irrigation District. They were very cooperative.
What what were some of the next kinds of projects that you needed to undertake? Was it about creating open space parks or?
Well, yeah, we bought a big piece of land for the first big park in Avondale, and then we installed the first traffic signal at Central and Western, which was a novelty for people, you know.
Traffic signal.
The very first one,
So before that, all stop signs.
Yeah.
Was there opposition to a traffic
No,
signal?
not at all. No, we
Positive?
had. I was very lucky. The council was very cooperative. You know, they took all my suggestions, and everything turned out beautifully. We had then.
Remember what year that was for the first traffic signal?
Oh gosh, no. I had so many things on my mind. I had a lot of things to go, and then I even started a boys club. I started a boys club, so I was doing that also. And we used to hold dances at the American Legion. I used to carry my big organ over there and play for the dances, raise money for the boys club. It was something else. So I kept very busy. And all this planning and zoning, you know, and all those meetings. God, I had to do all the typing for the council's agenda. So I was city clerk also.
So you filled. Tell me again each of the positions that you filled. You were city clerk, as city manager. You're also
A city clerk and finance
finance
director, and personnel director, and just about it. Everything with in the office. I had two girls and a man working. I had a staff of 4.
And how long was it before you broke off the positions and needed to hire either the clerk or the personnel director?
Ooh, let's see. Well, first of all, I was contacted by the Institute of Public Administration in New York if I wanted to go to Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic, and work on a project they had over there, and they wanted me to go because I had the experience and being bilingual. So I did go. I went to the Dominican Republic, but I was there only 3 months because I got real sick with the water and the food. So I come back, and then they rehired me as city manager again till 1971.
So it's the Institute of Public Administration needed to send some.
Yeah, we had a
staff
team of
speaking-
4, team of 4 accountants, and that was under the Federal Agency for International Development. But they picked me because they wanted me because of my experience, you know, city manager and then bilingual.
Okay, and the other 3 came.
They
from
were
other places?
bilingual also and accountants.
Do you remember where they came from?
From New Mexico, Albuquerque.
Okay, so 4 of you were chosen to go through the Federal Agency for International Development, but you couldn't really adjust physically. You got sick from change in-
the water and the stuff, and the food, of course. We're not used to it, you know. And I went alone. The other guys got their families, but my wife wouldn't go. She said, "I'm not going to go over there." So, if she'd have gone, we probably would have gotten by all right, you know, with our own style of cooking. And
Yeah. So really, what they needed was somebody whose culture was more akin to Santo Domingo rather than just the language. It wasn't just enough to speak the Spanish, I guess.
Right.
Okay, so you tried that out for a few months and then came back.
Then came back.
Did you think that were you just trying it, or did you think that you might be moving there eventually?
Well, I was thinking of making it permanent because after that we were going to go to Central America also on the same project, you know, finance reformation,
I see.
helping with the finance.
Well, that sounds like it would have been a great experience, but
But I'm glad I came back though and got city manager again because I love the work.
So they hadn't replaced you in the meantime?
They had a temporary. I think they figured that I was going to come back. They had temporary manager.
Okay. So when you came back, you just went right back into
Yeah,
your
right
position?
away.
Okay. How about, tell me about the facilities for the city. Did you have experience with creating a city hall or a library?
Well, we had a real small city hall, and the fire department was all volunteers. We had all volunteer fire department, and a real small city hall. And then we were offered. There was a big that building just so there is. It was a Gibraltar Savings Bank, and they went broke, so they sold us the building real cheap. So we bought it and moved to that new city hall.
I see. A savings and loan was going out of business. The city of Avondale purchased
Purchased the
their
building. Mm-hmm.
So that was that your, and it was, you moved in to be a city hall? And where were you before that?
We were on
In rented
Fourth
accommodations?
Street and Western. Real small city hall.
Okay. So you had another building before that. Was it owned by the city?
Yes.
Where you had been? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now you get bigger accommodations.
Now they got a real big one. They put a brand new one on 150 on Avondale Boulevard. It's a big facility.
So the one here, the savings and loan, the city used from, what was the year that you think that happened?
That was in here,
Just when you came back from Santo Domingo?
1969.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then the new one was built when?
This new
The
one,
big one.
the latest one. Oh, I'd say about a year or so ago.
Okay. So 30 some years you're in this.
Yeah.
You're in this building. Okay. What about? Let's talk a little bit about the utilities, the sewer and the water, and how, and the growth rate in Avondale.
Well, during my tenure, we didn't grow much, hardly any at all. We had a disposal plant, of course, and it was washed out once with a flood. And then the county helped us put it back together again. And we had a water system. And like I said, the fire department was volunteer. And the police department, I think we only had about 4 or 5 people in the police department total. Very small. We hardly grew when I was manager. It's a good thing for me.
So it was a fairly stable community.
Very safe. Everybody knew each other, you know. You had to be careful what you couldn't talk about somebody else because you might be talking to the relative. But it was friendly, very friendly.
So it was fairly remote at that time. Now when we talk about Avondale, we think of all the other West Valley communities. It was fairly isolated?
Well, it was right next to Goodyear, you know. We were two communities together. They were the only one, and Litchfield Park was quite a ways from us at that time. Now it's all together.
Did you work with the other cities?
Yes, yes.
Tell me about that. On what kinds of issues, and how did you relate to the other cities?
Well, on a lot of things, you know, projects and laws, you know, coming laws, ordinances. By the way, the train. The Southern Pacific train was going like mad through Avondale, so we passed an ordinance limiting their speed to 35 miles an hour. That was so funny, you know, making the train go slow.
Had there been like a series of accidents, or?
We only had one accident where a girl was killed. Yeah, and I think that's why We passed that ordinance. But they were flying through here, small town, they didn't care.
So after that, they had to slow down.
Uh-huh.
Were they carrying the produce? The crops?
No, we didn't have any sheds here. You know, we didn't have any big sheds. They went somewhere else. Anyway, there was a big shed, I think it was on 85th or 87th Avenue, a big shed there. But most of the sheds were on Grand Avenue. They had a lot of sheds on Grand Avenue.
Tell me some more about how if most of the economy was in farming, tell me some more about, were they very large farms? And
Not,
owners, or were they
were
individually
small,
held?
you know, small farms, but a lot of them. Then of course we had the Goodyear plant, you know, where they were building airplanes for the war. We had that was a big one, but that was in Goodyear though. We didn't have that one. We didn't have any industry at all in Avondale.
None at all, just all completely farming.
Farming and small businesses, you know.
Was there a tax at the time? Was there a
1 year, you won't believe it. We were so fortunate to have enough money that we had no taxes at all. So on our mail, we had a slogan, "Avondale, a tax-free city."
Do you remember which year that was?
No, I don't. I wish I did.
One year, tax-free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tax-free.
Okay. How did you provide services? How did you balance things to provide?
Well, we
services?
had we had a big a housing project which was owned by the county. It was all you know, rentals, and the county turned it over to us. So that's where we got a lot of our revenue, from those rentals. It was like it was the name, the Circle Housing.
Circle Housing.
And
The county had turned it over to you.
yeah,
So that money came directly to
to the city.
the city.
And hey, I'll show you something here. There's part of it.
Uh-oh. It was demolished.
Yeah, it was demolished. It was pretty old.
How big a unit was it?
Oh gosh, that was quite I can't remember how many units we had, but like I said, it provided very good revenue for the city.
Was that your main revenue stream?
I would say it was a big portion of the revenue. Of course, we had water and sewer, and business tax. We also had a business tax.
Okay. Tell me a bit about the businesses that operated here.
It was small businesses, you know, body shops and grocery stores and little cafes. Nothing big. Everything was small.
So when people of Avondale really needed to go shop, how far would they go?
They probably would go into Phoenix. That was the.
Still into downtown Phoenix. So you didn't have much income on the sales tax.
No, not really.
So what else? You had the Circle Housing, you had the water and sewer, you had some business tax. Any other money coming in?
Well, there's 1 year. Hubert Humphrey was vice president, and he called a meeting of all small city managers to see what they needed, you know, what we needed. So we did meet with them, and we came up with that federal revenue sharing. And they started, so we started getting that federal revenue sharing too. That helped a lot. Yeah. So that came out of that meeting we had with him.
What did that enable the city of Avondale to do that it couldn't do before?
Well, it just just increased our revenues. That's all they did, you know. Nothing special really that we needed.
Not specifically for police?
No,
or
it was for
safety or
everything.
everything.
Uh-huh.
Tell me how the ACMA, did you rely on the city managers from other places to go to the meetings every year and talk over the kinds of issues that you had and get help from
Yeah, we
others?
did, and I used to also attend all the International City Managers Association.
Okay, so
Yeah.
ICMA and
Mhm.
ACMA.
Uh-huh. And when I was president of the Arizona managers, we had the international convention here, and I was president. So I had to give the welcoming speech, and they wanted me to do it in Spanish. So I did the welcoming speech in Spanish.
Now, what year was that you were president? of
Oh
ACMA?
gosh,
Remember?
I can't remember. I have to look it up. I have all that box there is full of awards. I used to have them on the wall, but I didn't when I moved. But I was president there for, I don't remember what year.
Okay, so
I'm getting old. I'm getting
Yeah.
forgetful.
so tell me a little bit about the kinds of issues that you all would deal with at your ACMA meetings.
Uh,
Kinds of things that you would talk about and learn from.
gosh,
Which were some of the cities that were similar in size and scale to Avondale that
Uh-huh.
would give you the chance to share?
yeah,
ideas?
we talked about what we were doing, and what they were doing. So we got some ideas from them, and they got some ideas from us. So it was a good meeting. ACMA was very good to us.
What were some of the kind of skills and the personal characteristics of city managers that you thought made somebody a good city manager?
Gosh, I don't know. It depends, I guess, on the person. I never thought I'd be a city manager. When I was picking cotton, I had no idea.
The people must have trusted you a lot.
Well, that's true. That helped a lot. Yeah, and I trusted them too. I had a monthly meeting with all the department heads, and I applied for some kind of a magazine for city operations, and I used to have each one of them read from that book. So we're all aware of what was going on. Very interesting, and they enjoyed it too, and I did too.
So sharing of information
Uh-huh.
among the staff.
Uh-huh.
Did you delegate a lot to each of your staff people?
Uh,
Must have had to some.
Some, but they knew what they were doing. They were good at that too. Uh-huh.
Now you did all the hiring.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So talk to me a little bit about what was that process like? How would you make your decisions for who you'd hire?
Well, really, the only people that I had to hire was my staff, because everybody else was there. They never took off, and they were good. So I hired an accountant, and I trained a fellow that came from CIA. I trained several people, and one of them became a city clerk of Peoria, and another one became a finance director of Glendale, and one of them is with the International City Managers Association. So I was a good teacher, I guess.
Did you take on people as interns?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay.
This fellow with the International City Managers Association, he was an intern.
Okay, so they were there really to learn from you on the job.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So you were a mentor.
Yeah, and these other people I had hired, the ones I trained also, I had hired them.
So it sounds like a fairly stable group of people that you're working with. It's not a lot of coming and going. Not a
No,
lot of change.
no. It was real nice, very stable.
And not a lot of growth happening in that
No.
period. Although there's growth in all the other communities around you.
At that time, no.
No?
No.
In the 1970s and...
No, it was pretty quiet all around. But all of a sudden, it just everybody went up. All of a sudden. When I left the city, they hired Carlos Palma, city manager, and he started annexing a lot. He annexed it all over.
So you didn't go through the annexation?
Oh yeah, I annexed some parts.
Tell me a little bit about the annexation that you.
Oh, very little. What I wanted to do is a square. You know, make the town a square, because it was all hidden, skilled there.
Tell me a little bit how you made that work, the annexation.
Well, of course, we passed an ordinance, you know, and had hearings, and we didn't have any trouble annexing.
No opposition?
No opposition.
Were there things that you tried to do that did create opposition? Or
I can't think of anything. I was very lucky. Very, very lucky. Especially in the improvement district, we had to get a lot of right-of-way, you know, all that property. As a matter of fact, I had to drive to a city in Northern California to get one right-of-way.
for the I-10?
For the improvement district,
Okay.
for the paving, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
So you had to go to California to get one piece of property?
Yeah, I couldn't get hold of the people and I knew where they were, so I told the council, I'm gonna go get that right away, and I did. But now it's a shame, you know. The streets are all bad now, south. The one we paved, they need repair so badly, God. Everything's for the north now. And the south is being forgotten. It's a shame. A lot of people down there south.
So there wasn't a big population change or an economy change up to
1971.
You retired in 1980.
1980, yeah,
Okay.
as finance director.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So,
Things were starting to move along then, at that time. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Tell me about some of those changes maybe in the late 70s. Were some big corporations trying to come in, like Walmart or Home Depot
No.
and that kind of thing?
nothing exciting.
Were you trying to attract change and growth?
I
And it just
don't
wasn't
think so. I
time
think we
for
wanted to
it?
stay small at that time. I think we wanted to stay a small town because it was so friendly. Everybody knew each other, you know. And that's why I didn't try to annex a lot, just to square out the town. Because it was enjoyable.
So that's a very unusual story for the Phoenix metropolitan area,
Uh-huh.
because most of the other places are annexing wildly,
Uh-huh.
growing and growing,
Uh-huh.
and your city wanted to remain small.
Uh-huh. I think Tolleson is doing the same thing, you know, remaining small. It hasn't grown. It's real nice and peaceful, really quiet.
So it was an attractive place to live, and it wasn't being bought up by, the farms were not being bought up and developed.
No, they were all farming
Stayed in
and doing good. Uh-huh. As a matter of fact, Letty Coeur, you know who Letty Coeur is?
Yeah, sure.
He had that farm there, I tell you, in Van Buren and Dysart. He had that farm there. And his brother had another farm down the road. I saw Letty Coeur the other day at a restaurant. You know him?
Sure, he was the president
Yeah?
of our university.
I know. Yeah, I saw him the other day.
Talks a lot about his childhood
He does.
from being from here.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him and we talked about old times too.
Did he have a role in city government at all?
He was superintendent of the high school. Uh-huh. Oh, and another good thing that happened while I was manager, they gave us a piece of land on 3rd Avenue in Western this fellow wanted for income tax purposes, donate the land. And he gave us a good piece of land, and we built a library. That was something good that happened.
Was that the first time the city of Avondale had a library?
Yes, Oh no, we had a library in the old circle housing, but it was small. I'm not sure it's something here. Am I keeping you too long?
No, not at all.
Oh, hey. There's Mr. Coor.
I see. Okay. Future home of Avondale Public Library. And you needed $35,000
Yeah.
to build the library.
That's Lady Coor.
And how did you raise the $35,000?
Donations.
All donations?
All
From
donations.
within the city. And how was it decided that it would be a library rather than some other
Well,
public service?
we decided we need a good library, so we decided on building a library there. Look at this.
What is that number? 1727.
That was the number of the card that was
Oh,
issued.
this is your card.
Yeah.
That's great. You got that? That's wonderful.
I'm gonna give it back to the city. They won't know what it is.
That should go in the museum for Avondale.
It should.
Yeah. Tell us something about the school system for Avondale.
That was great.
How did you provide for education for all the farming families?
Well, we didn't have a thing to do with education, you know. It was all county and state, I
County
guess.
and state.
Yeah, we had no participation in the operation of the school.
But you had a good school?
Very
school
good,
district?
very good. The high school was very good, and all the grammar schools also.
Tell me a bit about the role of the mayor, and how many different mayors did you work with?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Under 4 mayors.
4 mayors.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm very interested in how the city manager remains constant, but then there's change.
I mean,
In the
mayors.
Yeah, the different
Well, I was
styles.
lucky. I was lucky because, like I said, they went for my suggestions, you know.
So you didn't have conflict.
No.
Did they have very different styles of being mayor?
Yeah, oh yeah. Everyone had a different style. Yeah.
And how did
But-
you adjust to those different styles?
I had to. Somehow I was lucky enough to, you know, to get along real well with them.
It's a really interesting position, the city manager, and I'm bringing you back to that question of the kind of qualities that it would take, and we talked a little bit about trust, and now you're saying, I guess it's flexibility.
Yeah.
Be able to get along. How are you able to get along with different personalities?
I was lucky. I got used to them, you know. Got used to them right away. So I was very fortunate.
Same with the
But when this job at the county came, it was strictly all accounting, you know, with finance department, assistant budget director. And I said, boy, it's a good jump, you know, good pay increase also. So I took the job, but then I had to drive in every day. And then when they asked me to come back as finance director, I jumped at the chance and came back as finance director. Because I had my home here, you know, we had a house here.
So how long a time frame did you serve as the assistant budget director for the county?
From 72 to 75. Here's something.
And after 3 years, you wanted to come back to the city of Avondale.
Let me show you. This is when I left the county, they threw a big party for me, believe it or not. Man, they threw a big party. I was surprised everybody was there, the county manager and every department head. They didn't want me to leave.
But you wanted to come back. You wanted
Well,
to come
because
back
of the
to
driving. Yeah, because of the driving. Otherwise, I would have stayed there because it was a good job.
But you came back, but not as city manager.
No, as
now
finance
as
director.
finance director.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So then you were working for a city manager.
Right.
The new one.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And how did you adjust to that?
Well, got along real well. I guess I liked my work because I did all the accounting, you know, for the city.
So during up until when you were finance director, was there any time where the city was changing its outlook?
It was,
and looking
yes.
to growth?
It was changing at that time, yes. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I'm not aware of really of what was going on, but I knew that, like I said, Carlos was annexing a lot of territory at that time.
So it
And
was more in the late 70s.
Yeah, and then I retired because I knew what was coming. You know, I knew what was coming. And I said, oh, God, that'd be too much, you know, too much work. So I retired. Because I knew, I could feel that this thing was coming, you know.
What could you feel was coming?
A lot of federal government regulations. A lot of those were coming in, you know, regarding finance. And then I figured, well, with all this annexation, I said, sure as heck, boy, they're going to start building on, you know, this land. As a matter of fact, Carlos annexed the land where the Goodyear, where the Litchfield Park post office is. That was funny.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Avondale annexed the land where the Litchfield Park post office is.
Oh. What happened?
Well, they just annexed it and there was no complaint, I guess. They got by with it. I think they sneaked it.
Oops.
Yeah. The funny part about incorporation, the story is that Avondale was going to, it was Agua Fria, you know, Agua Fria before, Coldwater. And they were going to incorporate as Avondale. And then Goodyear got wind of it because they were going to incorporate the whole area as Avondale. And Goodyear got wind of it, so they annexed there right away, see.
I see. So there had already been some competition there.
Oh, yeah.
And Goodyear did that in order to create the
To
manufacturing
create their own.
facilities. Okay. How did Avondale benefit at all from the Goodyear facilities? Did people live
Working.
here?
Yeah, and people living here. And a lot of them were at this circle housing I'm telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of them. And also Army personnel lived there also.
Okay. Was the circle housing originally constructed by the
By the
federal
county.
government or by the county?
I think it was federal project, yeah. And then they turned it
Full-time workers?
and then they turned it over to the county. Then the county turned it over to us.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And it was just that one housing unit, circle housing?
Uh-huh. There was quite a few buildings.
Was that integrated housing? Were there
Yeah, there was.
Hispanic,
It was a
white,
mixture.
Mexican,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
mixed?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Unlike the previous federal housing where it was more segregated.
Yeah. Not this one. This was everybody lived there.
Again, if you could just tell me a little bit more about how you could tell it was time that you wanted to retire and not take on the jobs that the finance director was going to have to do because.
Yeah. Well, I was
any
at retiring age too, and so I said, "Might as well retire." I retired at 62, because I saw a lot of people retire at, wait till 65, then they retired and are dead. So I said, I'm not going to take a chance.
You wanted to play your piano.
I sure did. You're right. I wanted to go with a band. Well, then I opened up a little accounting business. I had a good accounting business, When the computers came out, then I bought a computer, then I had an accounting business. And I was doing real good because I had all small accounts, It was fun. But then I had 2 big accounts with payroll every week. So I had payroll every week. I couldn't go anywhere. No vacations or nothing. That was my wife over there. That was my wife.
So really the skill that you had that enabled you to be the city manager was really your experience and your training in accounting.
Yeah. It sure was.
Yeah. What would you say were some of the other, if any, what else did you bring to it? Because it couldn't have just been that you could do the books, because other people...
Oh, ideas. I had a lot of ideas. I had a lot of, like I say, that traffic signal right away and water storage tanks and the park, I had a lot of ideas. And luckily they went along with it. We also had, in front of the old city hall, I had to make a little, like a little island in the middle. A little island, and we had palm trees and beautiful lights. It was beautiful, yeah. And they went along and said, sure, let's do it. But then, after a while, business people said they tore it down. And I sure was mad when they tore it down. I wasn't here, thank goodness. But it's a beautiful piece. It went for a whole block. They lighted flowers and cactus and palm trees. It was beautiful. That was a crazy idea.
So the ideas that you would have, you didn't have opposition to, and...
No, none at all. None at all. Then, of course, by the railroad tracks there on Buckeye Road, the railroad owns a big piece of land that was empty, and I talked them into letting us use it as a park, and they did. It's a park there now, and then I had them put sidewalks on the Buckeye Road all the way. So I was lucky in getting things done.
And tell me, why would somebody during that period from 1960 to 1980, what do you think was attractive about Avondale that people would want to come live here? Was it a safe city?
It was
small?
quiet, small, and peaceful. Yes,
Quiet and peaceful.
And like I said, everybody knew everybody. Every morning we used to go to a drugstore, and all the big wheels got together and drank coffee, and shot the bull. It was fun. Every morning, 10 o'clock, everybody was there.
Is that where all the decisions would get made?
Huh?
Is that where your decisions would get
No,
made?
we just shot the bull. We just shot the bull.
How about in terms of, sounds like you say you're lucky with everything, with the mayors that came through, you got along well with them. What was the size of the council?
Let's see, I had the mayor and 6 councilmen. 6 council, yeah, 6. Okay.
Were they always men?
No, we had a lady, and she became mayor also, Desi Lorenz. Yeah, she was the only female, and then she ran for mayor, and she made it.
So she was one of the mayors that you worked
for.
Okay. And were they hotly contested races for the city council?
Some of them were, yeah. The mayor's spot was contested quite a bit.
Now, I'm interested in, would you ever want to be mayor?
Oh, no way. No way. They've asked me, why don't you run for mayor? And I said, no, sir.
How did you, tell me why not? How did you see the role of mayor as so different?
it's not it's not a permanent job, you know. And you always have somebody running against you. So you have a battle on your hands all years. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to try for that.
Not interested. So
Would you like to be mayor?
No.
See what I mean?
So not interested in a political,
No.
political
Arena?
no,
No.
arena. Okay. Let's just take a little break if we could.
Tape here. Okay.
I just wanted to ask you a little bit about how you talked before about the importance of ICMA and ACMA, and that you had some interns through that. But were there other city managers, younger people that were going into city management in other cities that you had close relationships with?
Not really, you know. When I was city manager, mostly everybody stayed. Yeah.
It's pretty stable.
Pretty stable, Very, very few changes. And I think ACMA had a lot to do with it because they, you know, we got along real fine with them and they got along real fine with us. So people wanted to stay. I know I wanted to stay too, you know.
You never thought that you'd want to go off to Santo Domingo again, or
Oh no, no.
or a city in California, or anywhere?
No, I
else?
was real happy here. I was real happy here.
Okay.
And I appreciate them having me as city manager, and it was a terrific experience. Terrific experience.
If-
And
Go ahead.
ACMA helped a lot too, you know, with their meetings and conferences and conventions. They're very helpful, very helpful.
What kind
John
of
DeBolsky, you know him?
Jack DeBosky, sure. Yeah.
We call him Bandido.
Bandido.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to young people who were thinking about
The
becoming-
profession?
going into public?
Give it a whirl. That's right. Yeah, tackle it. I would. It's quite an experience. You learn so much. You learn about people. You learn about the laws. You know, about the federal government, the state government. You know, you learn everything. It's a wonderful experience.
Okay, well, on behalf of Avondale, I thank you for your service.
What's that?
Thank you for your service, and thank you for letting us come to
Oh, I
interview you today.
appreciate it. I appreciate it very much.
If there's anything else you want to add, we'll
No,
talk on the
I want to thank you for coming. I enjoy your company, all three of you. It was nice.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay,
Now ACMA is going to get this?
yes.
Uh-huh.
On the hook.
Now, we're gonna make a